Pain reveals your true weaknesses, the anatomy of avoidance and the brutality of self-assessment. The moment of profound pain, be it the sickening lurch of financial ruin, the crushing defeat of a public failure, or the raw physical exhaustion of pushing past your perceived limits, is not an accident. It is a calculated intervention. Pain is the universe's refusal to let you continue living a lie. We spend our comfortable years building elaborate, barbed defenses against honest self-assessment. We construct the illusion of capability by avoiding tests that could expose us. We claim we're disciplined, yet we've never been truly hungry. We claim we're resilient, yet we've never been truly broken. We hide our soft spots beneath layers of distraction, consumerism, and busy work. But when the hammer of pain falls, all those false structures crumble instantly, and you are left staring at the raw, pulsating core of your deficiencies. Pain is a diagnosis. It's not the disease. It is the symptom pointing directly to the hidden, systemic flaws you've let fester in the shadows. The sheer agony of debt accumulation reveals a fundamental lack of financial discipline, not a run of bad luck. The sting of a betrayal reveals a weakness in boundary setting, not just a flaw in the other person. The sudden breakdown of your body exposes the long-term neglect you excused as too busy. This is why pain is a gift. It gives you unmistakable clarity. It strips away the comforting fog of mediocrity and shows you, with brutal precision, what you must change. There is no room for negotiation or excuses in the face of genuine suffering. The pain demands you identify the root cause, and the root cause is almost always found in your own lack of preparation, commitment, or self-honesty. The unforgiving mirror, exposing the softness of the mind. The greatest weakness pain exposes is not physical. It is mental. It is the chatter in your skull, the voice of doubt, the architect of excuses, the champion of surrender. When the going gets truly hellish, your mind becomes a battleground. If you haven't hardened your resolve through consistent, uncomfortable effort, that inner voice will immediately become your most dangerous enemy. It will argue for rest, rationalize giving up, and use the sheer intensity of the suffering as proof that you were never meant for this anyway. This is the great test. The pain forces you to acknowledge that your perceived limits were merely mental suggestions. The moment you feel like you cannot take one more step, one more hour, or one more blow, and you choose to keep moving, you shatter a self-imposed prison. The weakness pain reveals is your deep-seated belief that you are not tough enough. Pain doesn't care about your feelings, your comfort level, or your sophisticated excuses. It is a metric of survival. The mental frailty it exposes, your aversion to prolonged difficulty, is the very thing you must attack and conquer. You must look into that unforgiving mirror, see the weakness staring back, and make a non-negotiable vow. Never again will I be unprepared for this level of stress. The pain is your roadmap for self-mastery. It shows you precisely where your willpower failed, so you can fortify that wall before the next siege. The mandate for corrective action. Ultimately, the gift of pain is not the suffering itself, but the mandate for action it provides. Comfort paralyzes, pain mobilizes. The pain of a failing enterprise compels the owner to stop hoping for success and start radically restructuring their entire system. The pain of being passed over for a promotion compels the individual to stop complaining and start logging the extra hours and acquiring the difficult skills. The pain of chronic illness compels the neglectful individual to immediately halt self-destructive behavior and embrace a strict, disciplined regimen. You cannot negotiate your way out of the suffering. You cannot think positive thoughts and wish it away. Pain demands substance. It demands sweat. It demands a radical, painful realignment of your habits, your priorities, and your identity. Pain reveals your true weakness, hands you the inventory of your failures, and then gives you the singular, crystal-clear direction. Fix it. This brutally honest feedback loop, where pain is the indicator and hard work is the solution, is the fastest, most effective way to evolve past your current limitations and build a life that is truly unbreakable. You must be grateful for the agony, because without it, you would remain soft, blind, and tragically unprepared for the actual weight of life. Pain is a forge for resilience. The myth of natural toughness and the necessary fire. No one is born tough. Resilience isn't a genetic lottery. It's a raw scar tissue built upon conscious suffering. Anyone who appears effortlessly resilient has simply spent more time in the forge than you have. Pain is the heat, and pressure is the hammer. Without that agonizing process, you are nothing more than soft metal, malleable, easily bent, and useless when the real force of life is applied. The forge is where you stop merely surviving and start hardening. It's the moment where the stressor is so overwhelming, be it the freezing mud during an impossible endurance event, the months of crushing loneliness building a business nobody believes in, or the grief that hollows your chest, that your previous self should have logically broken. But you didn't. You chose to absorb the shock. You chose to metabolize the suffering into strength. This is the great alchemy of pain. It turns external pressure into internal integrity. Every time you push past the point where your mind begs you to quit, you are fusing your core beliefs with your actions. The pain acts as the weld. The physical and mental agony reinforces the structure of your will, transforming it from a theoretical concept into a verified, field-tested reality. If you haven't been pushed to the edge of your capacity, you don't actually know what you're made of. You're just guessing. Pain removes the guesswork. The iron will and the repetition of agony. Resilience is not a grand, singular moment of heroism. It is the daily, repeated choice to absorb discomfort and keep moving forward. It's a habit, and habits are only formed under pressure. Think about the process of forging steel. The metal is repeatedly heated until it glows white-hot. Then it's pounded flat, shaped, and rapidly cooled. This process is repeated endlessly. If the steel resisted the heat or the impact, it would remain brittle. Your mind works the same way. The first time you face a serious setback, a bankruptcy, a major injury, or deep betrayal, the pain is shockwave. It shatters your equilibrium. But if you allow yourself to be shaped by it, the next time the stressor appears, the impact is absorbed more efficiently. You are already pre-calibrated for suffering. Your mental framework remembers the map through the darkness. This repetitive agony creates the iron will. It is the internal muscle that, when activated, says, "I've been here before. This level of suck is familiar. I know I can outlast it." This is what separates the brittle from the unbreakable. The brittle person collapses under the stress. The resilient person flexes, absorbs the energy of the pain, and uses it to propel their next move. They don't just endure, they dominate the discomfort. Building the calluses of the soul. We talk about physical calluses as protective layers built up through friction and pressure. Your soul, your spirit, your mental fortitude needs calluses too. And pain is the only abrasi, the material that creates them. A life lived in constant pursuit of ease leaves your spirit soft and sensitive, easily bruised by the smallest critique, the slightest inconvenience, or the grind. They have built up a tough inner hide. Their pain tolerance is simply the accumulated thickness of these soulful calluses. This is the final purpose of the forge. To make you insensitive to the trivial, so you can be powerful against the essential. The little nagging pains, the criticisms, the fatigue, the boredom, don't even register anymore, because your mind is conditioned by the memory of truly profound struggle. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, preserving your finite mental resources for the truly heavy lifts. The gift of pain, therefore, is the assurance that when the world inevitably delivers its worst blow, you will not just survive it. You will stand taller because of the immense, unbreakable strength that the fire instilled in you. You are a weapon, forged and tested. The blindness of perpetual comfort. You live in a world obsessed with eradicating friction. A world that promises convenience, instant gratification, and perpetual emotional cushioning. But this constant pursuit of a frictionless existence does something insidious to your mind. It dulls your perception of reality. When every day is good enough, you lose the ability to truly define what great feels like. your baseline shifts, and you become complacent, living in a narrow band of low-grade comfort where the extraordinary is indistinguishable from the ordinary. The moment you remove the negative, you remove the metric by which the positive is measured. A life without hunger makes a simple meal meaningless. A career without struggle makes a promotion just another Tuesday. You become blind to the gifts surrounding you because you lack the historical reference point, the brutal contrast that gives true value to success, peace, and abundance. Pain is the antidote to this blindness. It is the jarring, unwelcome shock that resets your perspective. When you are truly broken, when you have endured the physical ache of exhaustion, the financial stress of absolute ruin, or the mental torment of failure, your appreciation for the absence of those things is not theoretical, it is visceral. Pain carves out a negative space so profound that anything less than that agony suddenly feels like a profound victory. The height of the victory is measured by the depth of the hell. The success stories you read about, the ones that move people, the ones that last, are never about a smooth ride. They are defined by the hell the protagonist crawled out of. The emotional weight of achievement is directly proportional to the amount of suffering it required to attain it. If you achieve a goal easily, you get a transient feeling of satisfaction. But if you have spent years in the dark, fighting against every instinct to quit, sacrificing comfort and peace, and you finally break through, that moment of triumph is not just a high, it is a revelation. The pain you endured acts as the denominator in the equation of your success. The deepest agony you survive grants the highest appreciation for simple well-being. The man who has spent months shivering in the cold training environment knows exactly how warm a bed really is. The entrepreneur who had to choose between paying rent and buying food knows the true value of a stocked pantry. The athlete who rehabilitated a career-ending injury understands the sacred luxury of a body that simply works. The struggle is not just a precursor to the win. It is the defining element of the win. It is the darkness that makes the light blaze. Without the shadow of profound suffering, the clarity and intensity of joy are simply diluted. You must experience the bottom to know the height of the summit. The clarity of gratitude and the rejection of complacency. The lyrist, most potent form of gratitude does not arise from positive thinking. It arises from comparison with past pain. When you actively remember the fear, the struggle, and the desperation you fought through, the present moment, even a simple calm one, becomes saturated with meaning. Pain provides this essential framework. It acts as an anchor that keeps you connected to reality, preventing the insidious slide back into complacency. Those who forget their suffering become soft and demanding. They develop a sense of entitlement, expecting ease, and becoming indignant at the smallest challenge. They have lost the contrast. They no longer remember the taste of real pain, and therefore, their current comfort feels ordinary, leading to perpetual dissatisfaction. The gift of pain is the perpetual, hard-earned gratitude it instills. It ensures that when you find peace, you don't take it for granted. You don't just notice your current strength or stability, you cherish it. Because you vividly remember the weakness and instability you had to battle to get there. Pain makes you a custodian of your own hard-won well-being, committed to the vigilance required to maintain it. It teaches you that comfort is not a birthright. It is a precious, temporary result of enduring the worst of life. The classroom of concrete consequences. Education obtained through comfort is theoretical. Education obtained through pain is concrete and permanent. Pain is the only teacher that bypasses your pride, shatters your denial, and inscribes its lessons directly onto your memory with the scorching ink of experience. When you suffer a failure, a significant business loss, a physical breakdown, or the emotional fallout of negligence, you don't just read about the consequences, you live them. This is why pain is an unwavering mentor. It is entirely unbiased and non-negotiable. It doesn't care about your good intentions, your busy schedule, or your emotional state. It only reacts to action and truth. If you put substandard work into a project, the pain of failure is the immediate, non-negotiable feedback. If you neglect your physical maintenance, the pain of injury is the immediate, non-negotiable summons to change. The lessons delivered by pain are the only ones you truly integrate into your behavioral architecture. You might read 100 books on financial prudence, but the key terror of being broke teaches you more about budgeting and saving than all of them combined. You might watch dozens of videos on proper form, but the sharp, blinding agony of a stress fracture forces you to respect the mechanics of your body instantly. Pain is brutal, but it is honest. It operates on a perfect cause and effect principle. It demands that you stop relying on theory and start mastering the execution. The rejection of stagnation, the evolutionary imperative. Life, absent serious difficulty, settles into a state of comfortable stagnation. If the current model works just enough, why change it? Humans are naturally efficient and will only exert the minimum effort required to maintain the status quo. Pain breaks the status quo. The mentor of pain operates on an evolutionary imperative. Adapt or cease to function. When the status quo becomes too painful to tolerate, the mind is jolted out of its complacent stupor and forced into a creative, problem-solving state. The pain, the suffering you want to escape, becomes the engine of your evolution. If you are stuck in a dead-end job, the emotional pain of realizing your life is being wasted becomes the fuel for the terrifying leap into a new career. If your skills are obsolete, the pain of being marginalized forces you to spend hours acquiring new knowledge when you'd rather rest. You do the necessary work not because it feels good, but because the silent pain of staying the same is finally greater than the pain of changing. Pain is the only motivational tool that is permanent. It creates a memory of fear and dissatisfaction that you carry forward, ensuring that you remain vigilant and continuously upgrade your mental and physical operating systems. You evolve because you remember the cost of standing still. As the focus and discipline pain demands, softness breeds distraction. When life is easy, your focus fractures across 1,000 trivialities. You lose the ability to concentrate your energy on the single difficult objective that matters. Pain demands a singular focus. When you are fighting through the depths of a real crisis, whether it's overcoming an addiction, managing a serious loss, or executing a high-stakes mission, you don't have the mental bandwidth for gossip, social media noise, or unproductive worrying. The sheer intensity of the suffering forces you to funnel all available energy into the one thing that will alleviate the pain, the solution. This hyper-focus is the core of discipline. Discipline is not about self-punishment. It is about prioritizing the difficult solution over the easy distraction. Pain teaches this lesson instantly. It shows you the clear line between the actions that lead to suffering and the actions that lead to salvation. It forces you to construct routines, boundaries, and habits that are unyielding because you know, with absolute certainty, that any slippage will result in an immediate return to agony. The gift of the unwavering mentor is this. It imposes the severe, necessary discipline you were too weak to impose on yourself. It gives you the clear, singular purpose of eliminating the source of the suffering, which inevitably results in building the toughest, most disciplined version of yourself. The lesson is paid for in sweat and agony, and therefore, it is a lesson you will never forget. Understood. We'll proceed with the final expanded analysis for Keynote 5, maintaining the aggressive, action-oriented, and intensely direct motivational style. Pain drives. Uncomfortable action. The inertia of the status quo and the necessity of the shock. Human nature is defined by inertia. We are programmed to conserve energy, avoid perceived threats, and maintain our current course. Even if that course is slowly driving us toward disaster, we sit on the problem, rationalize the delay, and hope the solution will magically appear, all because the discomfort of solving the problem feels more immediate than the distant theoretical pain of inaction. Pain is the necessary shock that breaks this inertia. It is the overwhelming, undeniable pressure that makes standing still physically and mentally unbearable. When the discomfort of your current state finally surpasses the fear of the unknown, when the pain of staying soft is greater than the pain of doing the hard work, you move. This is the most functional aspect of suffering. It strips away the excuses. The nagging headache you ignored becomes a crippling migraine, forcing the medical checkup you postponed. The minor financial worry escalates into a catastrophic bill, forcing the brutal budget cuts and the side hustles you avoided. The emotional strain in a dying relationship reaches a critical mass, forcing the difficult, agonizing conversation you buried for months. Pain eliminates the gray area. It leaves you only with two stark options: stay here and suffer, or move right now and endure a different, productive kind of suffering. The smart choice, the choice for evolution, is always the latter. The agony compels you to trade passive, debilitating suffering for active, purposeful struggle. Trading excuses for execution. Excuses are the language of the soft. They are the intricate shields we construct to justify our fear of execution. They sound like, "I'm too tired, I'll start tomorrow," or "the timing isn't right." Pain burns those shields to ash. When the pain is acute, the focus narrows to survival. You stop thinking about how hard the process might be and start moving because you cannot tolerate the present moment anymore.